Written question from Councillor Mark Jeffries, Ventnor Town Council, to the Cabinet Member for Infrastructure, Highways, PFI and Transport. I will read it. Residents in St Catherine Street have submitted a petition signed by 700 Ventnor residents against the proposals for removing all parking in St Catherine Street, including 5 disabled bays. The lack of alternative parking has provoked this response. Also, the Freedom of Information request asking for original reports submitted in 2012 has revealed that these reports have not been retained for reference. Therefore, question to Councillor Jordan is, considering the time lapse and the lack of evidence to support this proposal, also the lack of alternative parking for residents, please could Councillor Jordan disregard this proposal? The response is, the matter in question is due to be discussed at the Cabinet meeting on the 9th of February as part of a review of TROs in Ventnor. Any representations made by the Town Council or other parties will be used to inform any decisions made in this regard. A written response has been drafted by and will be sent to Ventnor Town Council within the next 2 days. Thank you. End of written questions. We have another one. Just arrived. From Steve Cowley to the leader, please will you let me know when the decision was made and by whom to sell the Yarmouth School site? As with many capital funded projects, the disposal of a former site, if surplus to requirements, often forms part of the funding strategy. The disposal of the former school site at Mill Road, Yarmouth, forms part of the funding agreement between the DFE and the Isle of Wight Council to build the new school. The Isle of Wight Council is entitled to retain the first £400,000 towards funding the new school, but the remaining balance must be returned to the DFE immediately. The funding strategy was approved by the former Chief Executive and Section 151 officer in October 2021. Supplementary was that Yarmouth School in Yarmouth is now closed. May I also have evidence that the Isle of Wight Council and Hampshire County Council have been through the proper processes as laid down by the DFE for the closure of Yarmouth School? Response is, Yarmouth Seaview Primary School has not been closed. The decision to relocate the school was taken by the governing body of the Federation of Church Schools of Shalfleet and Yarmouth on 13th of January 2020. The council support this decision and supported its implementation. Thank you. Other written questions coming my way? Right, that's fine. Moving in on to any oral questions. No one in the gallery. No one displaying a hand. We're moving on then. Thank you very much indeed for your questions. And we'll move on to item 4. Item 4 is the chairman's announcement. As you know, I'm the deputy leader and I'm standing in for the leader, Councillor PC Wilcox, who's on spot of leave at this moment in time. I have no announcements to make at this time. So thank you very much indeed. Item 5, report of the Cabinet Member for Children's Services, Education and Lifelong Skills.
Thank you, Leader. The paper before you is the school funding formula and budget setting for 23-24. This is an annual report that comes to Cabinet, and this report sets out arrangements for the Isle of Wight pre-16 mainstream school revenue funding formula for the 23-24 financial year. The detail is in the papers before you, and this has been widely circulated to Cabinet members prior to this meeting. just a couple of points that I would like to pick out of that the formula that is being proposed this year follows principles agreed by Schools Forum during the 22-23 financial year, following consultation with individual schools, and replicates the national funding formula values that are used to allocate funding to the local authority. This report is time sensitive in that the DfE must be notified of our proposed formula by the 20th of January 2023, and therefore subsequent school budget allocations must be confirmed to individual schools by the 28th of February, which are applicable from the 1st of April 2023. It is a requirement that the council consult with schools on the funding formula and budget setting, and as said, this is done through Schools Forum, but the final decision is for the local authority to take as the accountable body for the dedicated schools grant. I would just like to highlight that the final funding formula from the DfE only came through just prior to Christmas, and the formula was finalised by staff, and I'd like to thank staff for their very prompt action, bearing in mind that they could not actually finalise this paper until the funding formula had been fully confirmed by the DfE. Just finally, the funding is made up, the dedicated schools grant budget is made up of 4 individual items: early years, schools block, high needs and central, and is passported through to schools with a small retention. And I am open to questions. Thank you.
Councillor Fuller.
Thank you, Deputy Leader. The question I wanted to ask was about the add-on now for the 4.3% added to free school meals. Is that across the island, or is that more of a national issue? And do we think that we're going to get a slightly more money because of that? And I would very much welcome that, because it is supporting schools in deprived areas, which we seem to have quite a lot of.
It's my understanding that the free school meals element is factored into the funding, so any changes will have been reflected, but that is something that I will double check, and I will try to get an answer here shortly for you on that. Thank you, Councillor Fuller.
I'll just add that is that on a national level, the funding formula with regards to the school meals, or is it local? I assume it's on a national level. Thank you. So the recommendation, I'll read the recommendation unless Councillor Andre would like to, but the recommendation from the Cabinet member is that the 2023-24 school funding formula and wider dedicated schools grant budget allocations detailed in Appendix 1 and 2 to this report be approved. We'll look for a seconder. Councillor Fuller. And all in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. Agenda item 8, report of the Cabinet Member for Infrastructure, Highways, PFI and Transport. Councillor Jordan.
Thank you, Chair. This is another report. We've mentioned before that Cabinet is now deciding upon TROs. This is another of those reports coming through. Just to remind you all that this is after around 10 years of recommendations, applications from town and parish councils, from councillors and from members of the public for safety enhancements to our streets, our highway. It's taken us this amount of time to begin collating all of those and bring them forward as responsible safety schemes for the island, and we're doing that in a geographical area. Hence tonight we've got two areas, one in Ryde and one in Nettlestone and Seaview. We'll deal with those separately. And just to add, since we had a question earlier about Ventnor, a Ventnor TRO, that Ventnor, the scheme proposals for Ventnor are coming in the future, in March, in fact, in February, in fact, for a decision from us at Cabinet. So that's the general background. All of these schemes are brought forward under safety concerns. So I want to make that very clear that this is not a proposal and a scheme to take away on-road parking just because that's seen as a good thing to do for other reasons. These are brought forward, these proposals, as safety measures on our highway. They all make sense in that regard. Some of the proposals are administrative in that they correct previous TROs that were in place but were not correct for the area in which they were placed. So that some of these proposals correct those. In other areas, in other places in the proposals, you've got all of the plan scheme in your papers. They are to implement safety proposals. That said, generally for the Ryde area, which will take us item 6A first, if you look at, and I've given you a small paper with some amendments. If you look at option 3 on page 33 of our papers, that's paragraph 36. That is the option that I am proposing we accept tonight. It is to approve the proposed restrictions that are subject to the report in relation to the various Isle of Wight Council various streets Ryde traffic regulation order number 1 2022 and the Isle of Wight Council residence parking places order number 1 2022 with amendment. And the amendment is to abandon the proposals in some locations but to implement the rest of the restrictions. The amendments I've given to you are to remove and abandon at this time the proposal for, this is item number 4 on page 41, for Church Lane and Pitts Lane. That's one scheme, but it's 2 roads. So Church Lane and Pitts Lane, Binstead on page 41, to abandon that proposal at this time. And item number 17 on page 54, which is Newnham Road, Binstead, and to abandon that proposal at this stage. So, colleagues, I propose to you that we accept option 3 on page 33 with the amendments as I've provided to abandon Church Lane, Pitts Lane, Newnham Road and Binstead, and seek a seconder, Chair. Thank you.
Seconder, please. Councillor Jones-Evans.
Obviously happy to take any questions.
Do you have a question?
Yes, it was just, Councillor Jordan, thank you for bringing all these to us. I think it's quite helpful that we have oversight of this, especially with all the maps and everything. My question was, does some of this eat into the, was previously referred to as the safety register, which town and parish councils fed into? Just wondering if it was chipping away at some of that, because you've done it on block in areas, so it just seemed to be, it might be that was what was happening.
Thank you. It's exactly that. Remiss of me not to have said that these proposals come out of that long list of safety asset register, which is now called something else, safety network register or some other words. It did come out of that. So it is and has reduced that. Can I just say, it was also remiss of me to say, and thank you for your kind words, Councillor Jones Evans, but this is entirely the work of our staff up at the highways team, in particular two officers, particular one officer, but two officers who have spent enormous amounts of time to deliver this in such a professional and comprehensive way. And I have the opportunity now to thank them very much. I do privately anyway, but publicly we should thank them for this work. It's been an enormous amount of work and it's ongoing. So during this year, there will be more schemes coming forward for more areas of the island. Thereafter, we're proposing to revisit the areas every couple of years. So that's the answer. Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns? None. Thank you very much indeed. Just want to clarify 6B, which is the Nettlestone and Seaview. I'm just going to say that we want to make sure that we bring forward the missions or the areas of Nettlestone and Seaview, which are included in TROs at this moment in time. You're about to bring forward what you've got here in agreeing option 3. Go for it. Oh, well, take 6A first. We'll take 6A first. We've got a proposal. We've got a seconder. All in favour, please. Six B. I want to clarify that we are moving along with the how can I say, not to deliver the Nettlestone paper.
Yeah. So 6B is all of those words of 6A apply. This is all part of that scheme. And again, on this proposal, I propose that we accept option 3. I'll read it, Chair, again. To approve the proposed restrictions that are subject to this report in relation to the Isle of Wight Council, various streets, Nettlestone and Seaview, Traffic Regulation Order number 1, 2022, with amendment to abandon the proposals in some locations and to implement the rest of the restrictions. That abandonment relates to, Chair, item 2 on page 95, and that is Nettlestone Green, Nettlestone. So the proposal is to accept the schemes put forward. There are 3, but with the abandonment of item 2, Nettlestone Green, Nettlestone, on page 95.
Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Jones Evans. Right, moving to the vote then. All in favour, please. Thank you, Councillor Jordan. Moving swiftly on. Agenda item 7, and I must apologise for saying item 5 just now because it was my spectacles that were playing up and my eyesight. So agenda item 7, Cabinet members' announcements, and I invite Cabinet members to bring forward an announcement or report. I have first Councillor Lucioni.
I just wanted to reassure residents that they can still take upholstered furniture, so sofas, etc., to the sites that they would normally do. It's the changes are only affected direct waste carriers. Talia residents tip with upholstered furniture, it remains unchanged. But I also want to encourage people, if you have good sofas that are fire retardant and have the recommended labels on them, that you can actually get them picked up for free, and they will be taken to charities, etc. So people that need them can make good of them, please. And I would ask people to really think about if they need to take stuff to the tip, get it picked up for free. It's on our website under free collection. Thank you.
Fantastic, you know, recycling, how can I say, recycling by the Isle of Wight Council and residents. I think that should be looked on as an encouraging prospect. Councillor Paul Fuller.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just going to give an update on where we are with the IPS. We all there will be a motion that goes to full council next week. This comes following a narrative from Michael Gove, who made a ministerial statement in December. At the moment, we have been talking. I've been talking to officers and looking at the narrative across nationally on the machinations of the Levelling Up Bill, and consultations are underway at the moment with the NPPF, which is supposed to be introduced in the spring. I note that much of the consultation substance does actually run parallel to a lot of the things that we already have within the island planning strategy. There has been quite a lot of discussion about that, and I welcome the consultation that's underway at the moment by government. There will be a press release that will be issued. I've requested this takes place at the end of this, by the end of this week. It is important to make sure people are appraised of where we're going with the island planning strategy, because there are so many people that are dependent upon that policy being implemented sooner rather than later. Should full council agree to postponing its motion that we had in November, a briefing has been tentatively arranged for 11 AM for Monday, the 23rd of January. All Isle of Wight councillors will be invited to that briefing, and we will give a further information, details of the government's consultation and how it may impact upon the island planning strategy. What I would emphasise is, although there's some very good stuff in the consultation, this at the moment is only consultation. What I've asked also is that a link will appear on the council's website pointing people to that consultation, and I invite all residents to become involved. I think it is important. We are shaping planning policy for the future, and this consultation is very important. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Councillor Jones-Evans.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief. Just to remind everyone of the Cultural Development Fund award from the Arts Council for department in Ryde, the old PAX department store. And they've just appointed the design team there, so we're going to see some works happening there very soon. So that's very, very exciting for Ryde, and of course the cultural life on the island, which shade makers really contribute to. The film studios, we're working with them. We'll be doing a supply chain, meet the buyer session that'll be planned, so everyone can see the benefits, and from chippies to tech people needed. So it's but the industry uses a lot of people around the local area, and similar we're doing that with their education, so make sure that we're getting the skills coming through that the film studio at Kingston will need. And just to say, following on from the government's acceptance of our plan for how we're going to use the Shared Prosperity Fund, we've appointed 3 new area managers for placemaking agenda. As you know, it's a very important part of the strategy for Regen. And they started today, so we'd like to welcome 3 new members to the team. And the Shared Prosperity is funded from the government. That's a 3-year funding stream for that. So that's all fully funded, and better carry on working with local areas to maximise potential there, but also recognising how different areas of the island are, and that's what's really important. Obviously, we've done it already, done it in Newport and Ryde and Cowes and Northwood, but obviously the Bay is the next place. We'll be having a place plan coming through, so quite excited about that. I could say more, but I won't, because I know other members I'm sure want to give their good news too. Oh no, one more thing. Don't forget, buy your one card. It's the time to get fit, all those New Year's resolutions. So get down to our wonderful gyms and swimming pools.
On a personal basis, I was considering that this morning, but reconsidered because of my limited mobility at this moment in time. Councillor Jarman.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank Councillor Fuller for his report. I'm one of those who've taken the opportunity to complete the consultation online regarding the MPPF, and I would like to echo his remarks and encourage people to do the same. It is not a light consultation. Unlike, I should say, our own consultation on the budget, which should be very understandable by Island residents, and which I'd also like to recommend to both my colleagues and to as many islanders as they can, and indeed businesses, to go online and complete. It is a very short consultation to do, but it's very meaningful. It's not a paper exercise. It is something we are taking direct account of. So I would like to promote that at every opportunity and encourage all those here to do the same. Thank you, Chair.
I think you're quite right to highlight that, and I believe, and you can answer this, that our consultation has been very successful this year so far.
You're right, Chair. We had something of a record breaking last year, and I understand that we have already, although it's still open until later in the month, we've already exceeded that total of last year. We've done promotion ourselves as a council, as individuals, and we've recently extended that to encourage all the town, parish and community councils on the island to similarly promote the budget consultation.
Thank you very much indeed. Look along the row. Thank you very much indeed for your comments and reports, Cabinet members. I'm going to move on now to the consideration of the forward plan, which is agenda item 8. And I'll take it. Do you want to take it through page by page, or do you leaping straight in, Councillor Jones-Evans?
Leap straight in with an adjustment amendment, if you like. It was just the item on the Isle of Wight Festival, which we're concluding next month. Just sits under my portfolio, not my colleague. Just if that could be corrected, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
Councillor Jarman.
Thank you, Chair. I've got a question for Councillor Jarman on that item, if I may. It's a quick question of clarification, really. Also understand we've got to give, once it becomes law, we have to give 12 months notice. So that's why we have to do this now. So it's not for council tax going through the letterbox this year. It'll be for next year if it gets enacted by Parliament, I understand. My question is, the clarification was, where does that leave town, parish and community council? They also have to make a resolution or like, how does that happen? Or will it, for their precepts, will it automatically, or it doesn't, no, it's just council tax, not precepts.
Sorry, too many times. The answer and advice we've got so far is that they are not billing authorities. We are the billing authority. The uplift of 100% does not apply to other precept bodies. It only applies to us as a billing authority, and as such, they don't have to pass any resolution at all. We do, however, have to pass a resolution to employ and enact it. We believe at the moment that's likely to be after the statute has received royal assent, and we do have to give 1 year's notice. As you're probably aware, our council tax billing cycle is at the end of February, I think about the 24th from memory. My memory isn't always perfect, but I think usually it's quite good. And so if we want to enact this, we do need to make a decision on this fairly quickly, certainly in order to give us that 1 year of notice period. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. That's really helpful.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Jarman. You know where my thoughts are with this. We'll push as hard as we can to see what we can do as soon as we possibly can do it in support of our residents and indeed community and indeed our finances to produce an Isle of Wight that is supported by finance and adequate finance, or as adequate as we can get. Sooner we can take things forward in a positive manner, as I see it. Personal thought is that we should move hastily. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to look to Councillor Jonathan Bacon now.
Thank you, Leader, Deputy Leader. I just thought it worth saying that to avoid people getting overexcited about this, it is only draft legislation at the moment. It's not been enacted by Parliament. Nothing can happen until that happens. And unless that happens in Westminster very quickly, we're not looking at this until 2025. But I agree with your sentiments, absolutely. But I think we should just be a little bit careful. In other parts of the country, people seem to have run away with the story without actually looking into that rather.
I think the Isle of Wight Count through the Alliance administration has never run away with any ideas, but we do have a tendency to look more optimistically at any opportunity that will come our way to increase the financial benefit for our residents and businesses. So I'll leave that at that. But I know, as Councillor Jarman said, that we have from the Local Government Association put forward support to take this legislation forward in a positive manner. Right. Moving on then, it's item 9, members' question time. No notification from the virtual community out there to ask a question. So thank you very much indeed. There's no other members in here that want to ask a question. I'll look around the cabinet. Thank you very much indeed. Meeting closed.